line suggesting that there has been food poisoning at the restaurant. The PRO has responded. The FDA has also responded with certain measures being put in place. We're going to get more detail on that shortly from both the FDA and other authorities. Please stay with us. We'll be back after this break.
Kofi Osopepra Ministries presents Kofi Osopepra live in concert, a night of great music, worship, and launch of the Father's Gift album. Guests include Neela, Ife Grace, Luigi McLean, and the legendary Mrs. Amy Newman. Date Sunday 22nd May 2022. Time 4 p.m. at the National Theatre, Accra. Standard tickets 60 Ghana cedis and 150 Ghana cedis for an unforgettable VIP experience. For tickets, dial *725*7000#. Also contact our ticket hotline 0271 425 445. Sponsors: Woodin Total Family Health Organization, DSTV Ghana, I Pay Ghana, Joy FM, Lucozade, Fan Milk, Ocean Spray and Vitrac, Meridian Natural Mineral Water, Always Sanitary Pad, Sumo Vision, Vena Natural Mineral Water, Ines Fly and Series. Get your Woodin fabric from their shops in Accra and win a ticket to the concert. Media partners: MX24. Every time is worship time.
Describe the God you are.
Hi there, my name is Kwame Opoku. I'm a speaker, and that's all I'm going to say about this for now. Now, even though I'm here to talk about an event, I don't think that's what you really want to hear about. So let me talk about something that you and I can relate to. Just like you, I'm from humble beginnings. I come from a small township called Omahinkro, and it almost seemed as though dreaming big and dreaming of the impossible was a crime. You know that feeling, right? Well, that's what this event is about. Filling the UPS auditorium is not just another summit. It's a way to say to the thousands of young people out there that you too can do the impossible, that your dream is valid, that the thing that they said cannot be done can be done. And so meet me right inside the UPS auditorium on Saturday the 14th of May. Let's make history together.
The 6th edition of the annual Kumasi Fashion Week returns in collaboration with the African Makeup and Beauty Fair this May. From the Thursday 12th to the Sunday 15th May 2022, live at the Kumasi City Mall. Admission is free. Get ready for the best of fashion and beauty the continent has to offer in Kumasi. Come and experience shopping, education, sales, demos, giveaways, competitions, mega discounts, special fashion installations, and thrilling runway shows from both international and local brands you know and new ones you are going to love. Tickets available for the runway shows selling at 80 Ghana cedis per day and 150 Ghana cedis and 200 cedis for full package and VIP respectively. Kumasi Fashion Week 2022. Welcome culture, commerce and couture. Powered by Kumasi City Mall, Ayo A Agency, Zoe Plus Limited and Makeup Ghana.
Welcome back to Spotlight on MX24 television. We're addressing issues on consumer rights and protection because in the last 24 hours, social media has been reporting a case of food poisoning that the FDA has responded to. Let's just take a look at some of the tweets and posts on social media that have been making the news. And we're just going to scroll that on your screen, so you have an idea of what we're talking about if you don't already know. So you can see clearly the persons who are tweeting, and a lot of them talk about eating at the restaurant and having to deal with severe stomach upsets and other symptoms of food poisoning. Some of them report as far back as Mother's Day when the incident started. So it's been a number of days. For some reason, there's several of them. There's people who have reported that both their children and them have been admitted. There are individuals, so many individuals who have also spoken to the same issue and have had to end up in the hospital, describing it by some as the worst food poisoning ever. And these are just the tweets that made the situation go viral. Now, the public relations officer of Marwako has been hard at work trying to, control the narrative and make a lot of apologies there. We have him speaking to the issue, and let's just listen to him and come back to this discussion.
Been with us since yesterday. They went to our branch at Spintesh Road. Today they came over here and now decided to close down 2 branches. That is this branch where the incident occurred, that is the East Legon branch, and the main branch, that is the headquarters at Abelenkpe. They believe that they have to investigate and be able to know the cause of this problem. So we appreciate it, but we've decided to close all the branches because it is really going to have a toll on us. And then the feedback that we are getting from the closure, even though it's very, it's really going to affect our brand and everything, but we need to manage the situation and move on. We are conversant with what really happened from Saturday and Sunday. But unfortunately, the information put out on Twitter, anybody who understands what is social media, it is, a platform where there is no element of professionalism. But you see, if you want to rely on the Twitter story, you may be misled. Probably a competitor that you are in the same business could decide to use the Twitter platform and put out certain information that are not correct. We've been saying this. I think that we want to sincerely apologize to our loyal, potential, and committed customers. There are those who, for the first time of tasting our food, they were caught in this problem. There are those who have been with us for over 10 years. There are those who even said that 7, 8 years and what have you. We want to sincerely apologize to them. We want to tell them that we are with them. Any problem that they have, our doors are open. Let us all come together as one people with common.
And that was Amin Lamte, who's a public relations officer for Marwako Restaurant. We have the FDA here with us online, so I'm just going to go to them to speak to the actions that have been put in place so far. And we have Mr. Yalbeni, who is the Director for Legal and Corporate Services at the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Hello. Yeah, good evening.
First, I want to ask, is social media getting it wrong? Is Twitter misleading us, or is there such an incident?
In what form?
Well, when you listen to the PRO, he did mention at some point it's possible for social media to be misleading. But where this Marwako restaurant specifically is concerned, has there been...
And in what way did you say social media has misled?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have him here, although we did invite him. He would have been the best person to clarify
so
more.
I will not be able to respond to that. I'm asking whether social media is misleading.
Right. No, so what I'm asking is...
I also may not... Yeah, okay, let me listen to your question again.
Thank you. Where the FDA is concerned, have you found any such issue related to food poisoning at Marwako?
Thank you. I hope this question is not coming because maybe, what's the name of Marwako? Marwako is denying that anything has happened. I don't know yet.
Right.
But the point is this. We had some information on social media.
Okay.
Some people have consumed food from Marwako.
Okay.
And they've gone to the hospital. They've been admitted. They have been treated and all that. So we followed up to the facility where they said they took the food from. And so it is normal for FDA. When you receive such complaints, you conduct an investigation. So it is an investigation that we have started. FDA has not said, and I repeat, FDA has not said there has been any food poisoning that is traced to Mawako as we speak now.
Okay.
It is an allegation. We are investigating. And when we are done, we inform the entire world as to what we have found out. So it is an investigation going on.
If you don't mind, why have they been closed?
As part of investigations where we have food poisoning or suspected or alleged food poisoning, one of the first things to do is to close down or suspend activities at that place. And that is what, if you go through our guidelines, you can check from our guidelines on our website, published. These are the normal steps. You take charge of the facility, you close the facility, you want to have full access to the facility, you want to take action based on what is there. You don't want to continuously to anything to interfere or intervene with what you are doing. So the first step you do is to close down or suspend activities at that facility, and then you continue with the investigation. We have not. I don't think the PRO has said. I don't know. I haven't heard anywhere that he has said that we have closed them down because we said there have been food poisoning in their facility. We said we are investigating an alleged food poisoning incident, and that is what we are doing. And it is part of the process to close down the facility or suspend activities within that facility.
Right, Mr. Bernie, since you started investigation, has there been an update on the incident, or is investigation still ongoing? Investigations
are ongoing. The only update we gave out was that two additional branches were closed. The one at La and the one at Abelimpi.
Have you been in touch with any of the victims?
Yes, we visited the victims at Yebua and Dell. And then Ridge and other hospitals that we have listed, including Ridge. We have been in touch with some of the victims. Some of them have already been discharged. And let me add that some of them have visited our facility today. Some of us will engage on phone. They called us. So we are in touch with some of the victims.
Right, Mr. Bernie, in the case of food poisoning, when we look at food poisoning where restaurants in Ghana are concerned, how do these things happen?
Yeah, that's a very good one. Food poisoning can happen from a lot of sources. But let me clarify something. From another station, somebody's understanding of food poisoning was like somebody has food poison in the food.
No.
And but we want to say that is not our understanding of the food poisoning we are investigating currently.
Right.
Food poisoning can happen through several means. Let me give you some few examples.
Okay.
It can happen from the materials that you are using. You buy materials that are not, right from the beginning, safe enough for food production order. So you bring the items there, you don't keep them well. Let's start with maybe fresh fish or meat. You buy meat from a cold store or a place where it has been kept under good conditions. You carry this product around for a while, not under cold storage conditions. You come and dump it, excuse my word, bring it to your facility, put it down somewhere in the facility without putting it in a fridge or a freezer. 3, 4, 5 hours later, you want to use it to cook. Something would have happened. You've given the microorganisms within that product to multiply. Your cooking practices may not, I use the word may not be able to eliminate all these microorganisms. So in effect, you would cook and serve the food. Again, your cooking practices may not be adequate enough, despite whatever you might have put in place. Let me give you another example. You would have prepared the food warm but you might not accept it warm. So if you give that food to somebody, the period that the food has been on your shelf or whatever for that period, anything could have happened. There could have been a multiplication of microorganisms in that product, and anybody who consumes it may react to it, and it can constitute what you are describing now as food poisoning. So it can come from different sources, especially, again, let me give you an example where the personnel themselves, poor personal hygiene can also create problems. If you have a staff who has sore on the hands or boil, and it's not taken off the production line, and that person is handling food, especially even salad or what we call the coleslaw or whatever, the person can be a source of contamination of that food, and anybody who consumes it can be in trouble. So food poisoning, there are lots of sources that can come out of that can lead to any of these things happening.
Can you just give us an overview of the rules the FDA puts in place for restaurants to follow?
The rule for the FDA issues what we call the food hygiene permit.
Okay.
Before that hygiene permit is given to any restaurant or any food service establishment, it is expected that one would have gone through their processes from where they get their supplies from. So you want to look at supply quality assurance, you want to look at how they store their products when they bring them from market, their cold storage itself, or other storage facilities that they have, the cooking practices, the personnel, their hygiene practices, the sanitation within the facilities. All these things are taken into account. And when we are convinced that the processes are good enough, and it meets whatever guidelines we have set for them, or whatever processes have been established, then they are given a food hygiene permit, which is valid for 1 year.
Okay.
So
it has to be renewed every year.
Food hygiene permit, it is for 1 year. After 1 year, you are supposed to renew.
So, given that every year they have to renew it, are you able to disclose if their permit is up to date?
Yes. What we to know currently is that one, the La branch, we did not find they don't have food permits, food safety, the food hygiene permit.
Okay.
The Sprinters Road branch, they put in an application. The Sprinters Road and Abelinquit branches have a pending application for us, which we are processing. This came before this incident. So that is what we have as of now.
So when these restaurants are given the permit, valid for a year, within the year, does the FDA show up at any point to ensure that they, okay?
Yes. What happens is that if the facility is known to be compliant, we do at least one unannounced inspection in a year. But if you have a non-compliant facility, a facility that consistently is not complying, the number of inspections to conduct in a year is increased. It's a risk-based procedure that we adopt. So if the facility is compliant, you do at least one unannounced inspection in a year. Other than that, you increase the number of inspections you do in a year.
Right. So you're saying that sometimes there are unannounced visits, but the public seems to think that the FDA is more reactive than proactive.
Why so?
Because they think you should have been on top of this issue before now.
What could we have done? That's what I want to know. Somebody went to eat on Sunday in Japan. Before Sunday, has anything happened? Nothing has happened. So why we say we should be on top of it? How on top are we going to be on it? Something happened. And that is what we are investigating. If it has not happened, what else could we have done to be on top of the issue?
Right.
It begs the question, actually.
Right. Mr. Bernie, I'll come back to you in a moment. Mr. Bernie is Director, Legal and Corporate Affairs at the Food and Drugs Authority, FDA. We have Mr. Adumaku Kusi, who's Executive Director at CATS International, and he is on the line. Let me just quickly engage him. Good evening, sir, and thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Good evening to you and your happy viewers.
Right. How long have you been following this incident?
Since the story started coming out, we've been following it, and we are so of the FDA official that
Right.
to what extent could FDA action have prevented this issue? I'm sure that no business or no food seller will be interested. I mean, no restaurant of this class would want to or would intentionally want to do this. And what is important is that the investigation is done to help FDA to uncover how it happened so that the recommendations and the sanctions can also be a learning lesson for the business and also other businesses.
When we look at the people that have been affected, what options do you think are available to them?
This is a medical, there are lots of options. And if you've gone to hospital and you incurred a cost of hospital bills, by moral restrictions, you can submit your bills to the Mawako food restaurant to see if they can help you. If they decide not to help you, you may want to go to court to seek court orders compelling them to do what's needful. I think that people don't need to go to court on this. Is something that the firm has admitted that one or two things might have gone wrong. That's why these things have been occasioned. So the best and the natural thing to do is to accept liabilities like the Boeing, when the Ethiopian airline issue happened. Boeing did not even wait to allow for investigation report to come. They decided to give compensation to the affected families. So I think that if you are a patient, you suffered this, and you are paid to, you send your medical bills to the company, and they can also confirm that you came there, then they may do what is noble in this situation.
I'm just going to come to the next question shortly, but before that, I want to put out our phone line, specifically for if anyone has been a victim and you'd like to call in, please do. Would like to hear from you. The phone lines are 020-4738-481. That's 020-4738-481 and 0550-331511. Again, 0550-331511. Please make sure you have your facts right and true before you call in. I'll come back to Mr. Adumaku Kusi. You mentioned earlier, the FDA's interventions. Do you think there could have been other forms of intervention before this hit the public?
FDA has been doing a lot of late in terms of issuing alerts to the public. And the only problem we have in this country is that FDA relies on information that the public also give it to them for them to also do certain things. Of course, they do their own surveillance sometimes. So if you are if you are a person, you go to a restaurant, you find that something is going wrong, of course, you can report to the FDA and there are two things. Some of the regulatory ambit falls within the district assembly, and others also falls within the FDA. The option to close a restaurant, I think that even the district assembly is even the first person to, because they give the business operating permit, so they can close your business site. But here, I think the FDA has also done it, and I think that the FDA has the right also to do so. And when it comes to, I think FDA powers also override that of the district assembly or the municipal assembly when it comes to this matter. And regardless of what FDA might have done, some of these things are occasional things that may happen. it becomes worrying if it seems to be frequent around. Then that is when we should be concerned about it. But when was the last time we heard of a food poisoning in a restaurant in this country? I think I know, as I mentioned earlier, no serious business would want to do activity that will lead to food poisoning. But some of these things are, errors that will come. Once it comes, we learn from it and we try not to allow this thing to come again.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Adumaku Kusi. He's Executive Director of CATS International. Please stay on the line with me while I go back to Mr. Bernie, who's Director Legal and Corporate Services at the FDA. Mr. Bernie, I'm just wondering, in the midst of all this, has there been any new thing that we have learned which restaurants will be required of restaurants or will be applied going forward?
The point is that the restaurants, if we are all following our guidelines in terms of good storage practices, good hygiene practices, good cooking practices, supplier quality assurance, all those things that we've taken them through, if they are adhering to them, I think it is enough to help ensure that food safety is guaranteed in these facilities. So we'll keep our training, we'll continue training them, we'll continue having workshops, we'll continue having interactions with them, and we believe that some of these things, when they are adhered to, will help for stop some of these things happening. We don't know as yet what really happened at Waku.
Right.
So until we establish that, we will not be able to say specifically what they need to do to improve. But as we go through the process, whatever we identify, we'll add it up to our report, and then we will assist them to improve on whatever processes they have on the ground.
The PRO, in some of his submissions, appealed to the FDA to limit investigations to, the affected branches and to open the others. Is this something you're considering?
We should limit our investigations to the East Legon branches and stop
open up the others.
Other
Yes, please.
That is open to FDA to decide. This is a facility or an institution that has branches. They may be using the same supplier for their raw materials. They may be using the same procedures for storage or cooking. We need to be sure that if any of this was the cause of what happened at East Legon, it is not repeated anywhere else. But let me also quickly add that the reason we closed down lab is that we visited a place. There were some other things that we found. It is not out yet because we need to put our reports, and they are aware of it.
Okay.
And it is part of the reason why now was closed. The same thing happened at Abelegbe. So it is not just out of the blue. We just said up. Why haven't we closed the Swingers Road branch?
How long is this investigation going to take? Is there a time frame?
Yes, we don't look forward to anything less than a week.
Okay, less than a week is pretty fair. But you're saying you're not able to share with us what you've uncovered so far where you visited these branches?
No. These are, we are still at the preliminary stage, and we need to, you see, some of these things you need to confirm with laboratory analysis and report from the lab, and we would not want to run ahead of ourselves to do things that will come back. But you say media to come back and start latching at let's take our time. Let's do a good job in the interest of the people of this country, especially the families that have been hurt. One family, I'm told, the whole family of 8 were there on a particular day, and they were all victims. Our heart goes out to them. But let's, in the interest of such persons and the whole of Ghana, let us be patient enough to carry out this investigation and carry it out very well.
Mr. Bernie, what are the typical sanctions for restaurants that are found culpable?
Okay, the Article 5.1 that we work with as sanctions as for offences that go against committed against the act, and I'm saying this, I'm going to say them general as they are. I'm not saying any of them applies to what we are doing now, but once it is an offense that can be captured under the Act, one, you can caution the, let me use the word facility, you can caution them, you can stop or suspend operations or any license issued to them for operations. There is administrative fine, the fees schedule. The LI on the fee schedule also specified the amount that can be, they can be charged with those, it can be, that amount can be slapped on them as administrative fine.
Right.
And then finally, they can be prosecuted. And no prosecution comes under the Attorney General's department.
So does this depend on the gravity of the situation?
Both the gravity of the offense and other things. So the investigations will show at the end of it. So when we are able to establish what the cost or causes were, we'll be able to see what sanctions will be applied. For the consumer, what leverage is open to them beyond coming to the FDA, or is that out of your jurisdiction? In terms of which consumer? Is it the consumers that are affected now? Affected consumers. Come again. Affected consumers. Is that what is open up to them? What leverage is open to them? What can they do? First and foremost, if there are people, victims out there that we are not aware of, we urge them to come to us. Let us know. We want to understand what happened, the processes. Sorry, how can they contact you? Oh, okay. Through our either you come to our office is at Shiashi. Okay. Or any of our contact numbers. 055 111 222 4. Okay. Or 055 111 225. Any of them, you can get to us on any of these numbers. Right. And once they reach out, do you just listen to their story? How are you able to tell if the consumer is being honest? The information is vital because we are still trying to establish what happened. And so if we get to know when they were there, what's the edge, what happened, we follow it up, the hospitals or clinics where they were treated. We need all these to be able to establish the real cause of what happened. And then that information, I must say, will help us to bring finality to whatever we are doing currently as an investigation. As to, I know your next question may be as to what compensation or what can be done for them. That one, if they are so minded, this is personal injury, and then the courts are open to them, or any other legal means that they can use to pursue whatever harm they think have been caused to them. It is still open to them. But FDA, we don't have any compensation for them. It is not within our mandate to compensate anybody. Right, Mr. Bernie, I'll come back to you again in a moment, but let me just find out from Katz what they also think about consumer compensation. Some consumers have mentioned that they will sue the institution. In fact, we've had the PRO appeal to people not to take that route. But what do you think is available to the consumer?
I think consumer, your first recourse is with the regulator. You report to the regulator, and the regulator has to establish that indeed the food that you ate at that facility was what has occasioned you suffering from losses. And then you can go to court. If you go to court to seek for compensation, the court will also want to assess the damages that you suffered, and the court may compensate you. But I think at this time, it will be very helpful for Mawako to look out for the people who suffered and try as much as possible to provide some level of support to them. Because when you go to court, you can't be assured of what may come out. Your case might be thrown out on technical grounds, or you might not win. So going to court is something that you have to think about it twice before you go.
Mr. Adomako, how active are the laws on consumer protection?
Fortunately, we do not have a consumer protection law in Ghana. However, there are some pockets of provisions in some legislations. For example, the FDA's Act gives some level of consumer protection element in the Act. You look at the PURC, the NCA, and the Ghana Standard Authority Act, there are some level of consumer protection provisions there, but they are not very robust. And most of these things are like in a silos. They do not cross other sectors. So FDA, you only look at the food sector. The PRC looks at the electricity and water. But when you are thinking about subsectors where there are no clear-cut provisions, it becomes very difficult to go to court on such a thing. That is why for many years there has been a call of the government of Ghana and the Ministry of Trade and Industry to ensure that the consumer protection bill gets to Parliament so that consumers can have the basis to go to court, the basis to make claims and have certain things enforced on their behalf. But I'm happy to also to announce that the draft consumer protection bill of improvement, and I am reliably informed by the Ministry of Trade that it will go to Parliament, very soon. And Ghana, when we say very soon, you just have to be very skeptical about how we see very soon.
How can the FDA engage better with Ghanaians in a way that feeds them information very quickly so they're more proactive?
I want to say of any food, product recall that this particular product lines have been recalled. We were not seeing those things. But of late, this particular FDA administration has done very, very well, issuing out releases and telling us to look out for some batch numbers of some particular product. But also, let me say that we cannot put everything on the FDA. You as a consumer, you as a buyer, you need to be aware. If you are going to buy a food, you are going to buy a food and realize that the environment, the hygiene surrounding the food is not good. You don't need to buy it. If you buy it and you go and eat and you run into a problem and you want to FDA, maybe if you are not careful, you might even die. So you cannot even go and fight any case with the FDA or go to the court. So you need to be very, very careful. I mean, the fact that we have police in Ghana doesn't mean that when you park your car, leave your money and your phones exposed so that anybody passing by can steal it. We need to be also responsible in terms of the decisions that we make, and the choice of eating at a restaurant, A, B, or C, is yours. And if you feel that things are not good there, don't go there. There are other good restaurants that you may want to eat. That is what I want to say.
Yeah, that's some good advice there from Mr. Adomako for consumers to also be proactive enough and take their own initiative to just do a little look around where you're going to buy your food to also ensure that it is a hygienic environment and meets the right health standards. Let me go back to Mr. Bernie. Let me just quickly get his last remarks from him, especially targeted at consumers and restaurants.
Okay, thanks so much. I just want to add to what is that Mr. Adomako said just now. See, there's something we call self-regulation. As an individual, as a consumer, at least you have a responsibility to yourself to ensure that your health and safety are guaranteed by whatever you do. Like I said, you go to a place to go and buy food. It is your money. If you are not convinced about what you are seeing in the premises, please just walk away. But in walking away, if you have the opportunity, please inform FDA of the reasons why you do not want to eat there. For example, if you get to a place and you don't have a food hygiene permit, ask for one. Don't go and fight. Just ask for one. If you don't have it, take notes, advise yourself, and just inform FDA that this. We want to tell everybody that, look, when you go anywhere to buy food, if the food is supposed to be served warm, please ensure that the food we are being served is warm. If it's supposed to be cold, let it be cold and take your cold food. But if it is warm or hot, please ensure that you are being served. It is one way of ensuring that some of these things will not really happen. We also want to engage and tell food service establishment operators that the system that we are in now, almost everybody, at least majority of Ghanaians would eat at least once a day outside the home. So these issues are very critical for everybody. They should be up to the game. NBA, we are doing what we have to do in terms of ensuring that practices within these facilities meet our standards. But of course, you cannot be there 24/7. I just want to urge operators to ensure that whatever operations procedures have been put in place, they should follow them to ensure that some of these things will never occur or reoccur. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Yalberni. He is Director, Legal and Corporate Services at the Food and Drugs Authority, taking us through some measures that the FDA has put in place there. He also mentions that there's an investigation that's ongoing, should be concluded within a week, and they can share the findings into detail. Earlier, the FDA closed 2 branches of the Morocco restaurant, and that's in collaboration with the Ayawaso West Municipal Assembly. They suspended all activities of the Abelemkpe branch also of the restaurant, in addition to the East Legon branch, as part of ongoing investigations on suspected food poisoning. Also, the La branch of Morocco has been closed. That's according to the FDA. The Morocco restaurant has its PRO out there answering a lot of questions and giving more information to what is being done within the restaurant and how they are helping their victims. We know the FDA has also said that it's visited some of the victims. It has taken the necessary samples for testing, and as part of investigations, it's spoken to the victims, visited the hospitals that the victims have been admitted at, and they will come out with their findings very soon. In the meantime, the branches, those specific branches of the restaurant, remain closed until there is a conclusion on the particular incident that is being dealt with in relation to many reports of food poisoning. Let's just take another listen to the PRO of Morocco restaurant.
FDA, they've been with us since yesterday. They went to our branch at Spintex Road. Today they came over here and now decided to close down 2 branches. That is this branch where the incident occurred, that is the East Legon branch, and the main branch, that is the headquarters at Abelemkpe. They believe that they have to investigate and be able to know the cause of this problem. So we appreciate it, but we've decided to close all the branches because it is really going to have a toll on us. And then the feedback that we are getting from the closure, even though it's very, it's really going to affect our brand and everything, but we need to manage the situation and move on. We are conversant with what really happened from Saturday and Sunday. But unfortunately, the information put out on Twitter, anybody who understands what is social media, it is, a platform where there is no element of professionalism. But you see, if you want to rely on a Twitter story, you may be misled. Probably a competitor that you are in the same business could decide to use the Twitter platform and put out certain information that are not correct. We've been saying this. I think that we want to sincerely apologize to our loyal, potential, and committed customers. There are those who, for the first time of tasting our food, they were caught in this problem. There are those who have been with us for over 10 years. There are those who even said that 7, 8 years and what have you. We want to sincerely apologize to them. We want to tell them that we are with them. Any problem that they have, our doors are open. Let us all come together as one people with common.
And that was the public relations officer of Marwako Restaurant giving some assurances to the public, issuing some apologies also. Let me go back to Mr. Adumaku, who's still on the line from CATS International. Mr. Adumaku, just your last remarks, please.
Okay, so I want to say that I want to also recommend to FDA to look at graduating maybe FDA in collaboration with the municipal authorities to have a graduated licenses for food joint, so that we can have A, B, C, D, E, let's say 3 classes. So like how hotels are rated, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 1-star, and whatever. So that whenever you are going to a restaurant, you want to look for a restaurant with an A-star. A-star means that their processes and their system have been checked to meet standard. And then a B-star will be a moderate, and a C-star. So that this will give incentives for business, the food service companies to also work hard to get to the level of excellence. Yes. And so, like, if you are A-star and some of this thing happens, you suffer, food poison like this, you are downgraded to C-star.